In 2024, I tracked 4 aspects of my life: my mood, productivity, stress, and sleep. Every night before bed, I'd give each of those a rating on a 3-point scale: -1, 0, or 1. So today, I'm gonna share with you the results. So for mood, a -1 meant I had a bad day, 0 meant I had an average day, and 1 meant, well, I was in a good mood that day. Okay, here's the average for each month, and where do I even start with this? I should start by saying that this year can be separated into 3 distinct regions: winter, summer, and fall. In the winter and fall, I was in school, and during the summer, I was working. So keep that in mind for the rest of the video. You can see the summer months were all positive, which is good, but once summer ended, wow, my mood took a nosedive. And October was my unhappiest month. This was due to midterms, colder weather, job interviews, and just some personal life issues as well. It got better in November, and hey, we ended off the year positively, so that's something. Another thing I did was compare my mood to the days of the week, and unsurprisingly, my happiest days were on Saturdays. Who would have thought? And my worst day was Thursdays, with Mondays not too far behind. If I sum up my score for the entire year, do a little math, my net mood ended up being a 6, slightly positive, which is better than nothing, but it's close enough to 0 where I can say I had a pretty average year. What's interesting though is if you isolate this calculation by season, winter was pretty average, summer was great, and fall was bad. Final stats: 57 bad days, 246 average days, and 63 good days. So just over 2/3 of my days were average. So for productivity, this is what each score means. If we look at the monthly average, there's not a very clear trend that's happening. April was my most productive month. Man, I had so many finals to study for. And July and August were my least productive months. It was summer, so I wanted to chill. Now looking at the week, oh my gosh, it is so beautiful because it just makes so much sense. I lock in during the middle of the week, but once the weekend comes, I get no work done. Okay, summing up the entire year, I ended up with a score of 25, which means I had a productive year. And if we isolate by season, you can see that I'm a lot less productive when I'm not in school and when it's warm outside. Final stats: 69 unproductive days, 203 average days, and 94 productive days. So with stress, a -1 meant I had a stressful day, 0 was okay, and 1 meant I had a low stress day. As you can see, I get stressed a lot. I only had 2 months that were above 0. August ended up being neutral. Looking at the week, Fridays were my least stressful days, while Tuesdays were my most. It's cool to see the graph creep up towards 0 as the weekend comes closer. Like, I'm in a constant state of, just gotta make it through the week. So summing up the year, the stress score ended up being -77. Oh, yeah, that's not very good. And if we isolate by season, winter and fall accounted for most of it, which just shows that school is the main source of my stress. Final stats: 121 stressful days, 201 normal days, and 44 not stressful days. You can probably guess what the scoring is for sleep, but if you're not that bright, here's what it is. Now, unlike stress, my sleep was actually quite good. In general, the more hours I get, the better. So October ended up being my best month, but that was also the month where I was in the worst mood. But the graph of the week is really interesting because it hovers around 0 during the weekdays, but once the weekend comes, oh my gosh. Like, look how much higher Saturday is. And Monday being my worst sleep day just makes so much sense because it's Monday. So overall, I ended with a score of 57, which is really good. Here's something interesting though. If we compare by season, fall had a significantly better score than winter. And that's because in the winter, I had morning classes, but in the fall, I had afternoon classes, which meant I could sleep in more. It's really cool to see that subtle change reflect on the data. Final stats: 65 bad sleeps, 179 average sleeps, and 122 good sleeps. We analyzed each graph separately, but what does it look like together? Well, it looks like this. It's a bit of a mess. But we can make more sense of this by finding something called the correlation coefficient. It's basically a value between -1 and 1, and it tells you, well, how correlated 2 data sets are. The closer it is to 0, the less correlated they are. There's a whole process to finding this value, or you can just use an equation on spreadsheets. which is what I did. So here's what I found. Mood and stress had the highest value at 0.42. This means the more stressed I was, the worse mood I was in. You can sort of see this on the graph as well. Productivity and stress also had a slight negative correlation at 0.3. This means the more stressed I get, the more productive I also become. Here's the graph for that. But other than that, everything else had a value of around 0.1, so not really significant. The biggest thing I want to work on is stress, so I'm hoping 2025 will be better in that regard. Oh, did I mention I was doing this again for 2025? Yeah, you should make sure you're subscribed so you can get notified for that. I'm interested to see the difference between the 2 years because in 2025, I'll be working in the winter and fall, and I'll be in school in the summer, the opposite of what was happening in 2024. I wonder how much that's going to affect the data. But that's all for this video, so make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed it. Alright, goodbye.